Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Dawson here, and with baseball being one of the oldest professional sports in history, there are some records that will never come close to being broken. And here is the list of the 10 most unbreakable records in baseball history. Number 10, career home run record. Y'all know it's about to get real when the home run record is only number 10 on the list. 762. That's the number of career home runs set by Barry Bonds, and he probably would have had more if someone actually decided to sign him after the 2007 season. And nobody wanted to sign him since everyone was kind of upset about the whole steroids thing. And it is as clear as day that Barry Bonds did use steroids, but technically 762 is still the record. Now, this would be very hard to break, but it is still kind of possible, right? I mean, not really. If the person who was trying to break it had a 20-year career, which is really long by the way, they would have to hit a little more than 38 home runs per season to break the record. So it does look like Barry with the asterisks will remain up there for a long time, if not forever. Number 9, the longest World Series drought. Now this is a record that nobody wants and is pretty much impossible to break. It took the Cubs 107 years to win a World Series, and without Joe Maddon and Theo Epstein, the Cubs would probably still not have a World Series championship. And keep that in mind, it took them extra innings and the Indians blowing a 3-1 lead to finally win it all. The second longest drought in history ironically belongs to the Southside Chicago White Sox, who eventually broke their record in 2005. The longest drought that is currently active does belong to the Cleveland Indians with 69 seasons. I guess that's what happens when you choke constantly in almost every championship series you're in. But don't worry, Indians fans, your team is pretty good, and you're only about 64% of the way to tying the Cubs record. Try not to screw it up. Number 8, intentional walks. Barry Bonds on steroids was one of the most horrifying human beings of all time with a baseball bat in his hands, which is mostly the reason he was intentionally walked 688 times in his career. So as soon as he stepped up to the plate, 688 times, the opposing team just thought, nah, and put him on first base. One of these times is when he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded and the tying run on second with 2 outs. The next guy lined out and the Diamondbacks won the game. With just how good Barry Bonds was, the amount of fear that he put into opponents, it would be basically impossible for anyone to even come close to that record. That, and the fact that teams have now figured out that statistically, it doesn't really make sense for them to be giving out free passes all the time. Number 7, career shutouts. I can safely say this will not be the last time we will see pitching records on the list, because back in the day, pretty much every pitcher around ate nails for breakfast. Alright, so the absolute legend, Walter Johnson, had 110 career shutouts. He is the only pitcher in the history of the game with over 100 shutouts, and is 20 shutouts ahead of the guy in second place, Pete Alexander. The only somewhat recent name on the top 10 list is Nolan Ryan, and Ryan played in the big leagues for 27 years. I'm surprised his arm hasn't detached already. And the biggest reason a lot of older guys are on the shutout list is back in the day, if you started the game, you finished it. Oh, what's that? You're only at 150 pitches? Don't worry, you only have a few more innings to go unless it goes into extra innings. You better hope your team scores. Number 6, pitching wins in a season. I tried to warn you guys about these old school pitchers. A guy by the name of Charles Radbourn, who was pitching for the Providence Grays in 1884, had 59 wins. Now that is according to Baseball Reference, but there is a possibility that he had up to 62 wins that season. That season, he also won the pitching Triple Crown, leading the NL with ERA, strikeouts, and of course, wins. The Grays had the record that season of 84-28, which is a total of 112 games. Radbourn pitched in 75 games that year, which means he pitched in almost 67% of their games. For anyone to break this record today, they would have to 1. Be on a good team, 2. Somehow get a win almost every single time they pitch, 3. Be a relief pitcher. It would be literally impossible for any starter to break this record since they only pitch once every 5 days, which means they would only pitch about 33 games a year, assuming they don't get injured. So a relief pitcher would have to be responsible trying to break this record. But the thing is, with pitching wins, they're practically based off luck. The guy that should win the Cy Young this year, Jacob deGrom, has 8 wins, even though he has a 1.71 ERA. All while Marco Gonzalez, who has an ERA over 4, has 12 wins and the same amount of losses as deGrom. And for relief pitchers trying to qualify for a pitching win, they have to be in the game when the winning run scores, which they basically have no control over. Number 5. Career stolen base record. You had to know this would be on the list at some point, right? The Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson has, get ready, 1,406 career stolen bases. That number is 468 stolen bases ahead of second place Lou Brock. Not only is over 1,000 stolen bases one of the hardest numbers to reach in all of baseball, but over the past few years, stolen bases have started to disappear. If only someone would make a video on that. Number 4. Consecutive games played. Apparently Cal Ripken Jr. had the same thing for breakfast that those pitchers back in the 1800s were having, because he played 2,632 consecutive games. That is from May of 1982 all the way to September of 1998, which, to put it simply, it's incredible. Avoiding any major injuries and still being able to keep going for that long would probably never be matched ever again. Nowadays, players have to sit out for getting injured while taking off their pants. Number 3. Innings pitched in a season. Does the name Will White sound familiar to any of you? Well, let me educate you guys on this 5'9" beast really quick. Born in 1854, Will White is one of the greatest pitchers that nobody talks about for some reason. So in 1879, he set the record, which still stands today, for the most innings pitched in a season, with 680 innings pitched. And it only gets better, because that year the team White played for only played 80 games, and Will White started 75 of them. Number 2. Losses in a season. As fun as it is to trash on terrible teams in the league every now and then, I don't think we will ever see a team as terrible as the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. If you think the Orioles' record is bad, just get ready for this. During this season, the Spiders had a record of 20 wins and 134 losses. That's a winning percentage of .130, and they finished that season 84 games back. Most of this was because the Spiders owners were bankrupt and they decided to move a bunch of nobody Hall of Famers by the name of Jesse Burkett, Bobby Wallace, and some other guy by the name of Cy Young. It got so bad that after the 1899 season, the Spiders were demoted to be a minor league team. Imagine a major league team being so bad that the next season they had to become a minor league team. So, with a little math, I figured out that a current major league team to have a worse losing percentage than the Spiders, they would have to finish with the record of 21 and 141. Even with the number of teams tanking, I don't see anyone going this far for some draft pitch. Number 1. Complete games in a season. Who are you guys expecting here? Cy Young? Nolan Ryan? Nope! It's the mustache sporting, eyeglass wearing legend himself. It's Will White. Do you guys remember when I said this? Because that year the team White played for only played 80 games, and Will White started 75 of them. So it turns out that during that season, every single game Will White started, he finished. And it's not just like Will was some Iron Man, he was actually a good pitcher. He had 3 seasons with 40 wins and had a career ERA of 2.28. He did only end up playing 5 seasons in the National League because he decided to work in the optical business with his brother, who actually used to be his catcher when they were on the Reds. Hey, MLB The Show, when more flashbacks are added into the game next year, I'll be waiting for the 1879 Will White one. I want to thank you all for watching. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 20,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. Also, I know this video is a little controversial because there was a few things I had to leave off the list that I think should have been on the list, maybe. So if there's any records that you think should be on the list, be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Also, there's a new episode of my podcast out, and me and Noah are going to record a new episode tonight. So if you want to check that out, the link will be in the description. Thanks again, you guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, I love her off. Says she love me, but she cut me off. Yeah, late nights on the boulevard, hidden stains on an empty heart, yeah. I love her off. Says she love me, but she cut me off. Yeah, late nights on the boulevard, hidden stains on an empty heart, yeah.